All right, so this is going to be a really basic breakdown on holsters. Holster kind of terminology, super basic for anyone that's new to guns, to holsters, that are looking at holsters, and you see a bunch of things on the internet and you're kind of confused because there's appendix carry, inside the waistband, outside the waistband, all these things that could be very confusing to someone, especially retention levels and all that. So I have a bunch of holsters. I only brought out a few. I don't carry appendix carry. I just don't do it. I have an injury that kind of gets in the way of bigger guns. Smaller guns, I can pull it off, but larger ones, it just doesn't work out. So here's two different Safariland holsters. All right. So if you see a holster with something like this on the back, this is a paddle. So it's so that you can slip it in to where your belt runs through really easy, and you can take it out really easy. It's real nice. It's mainly for outside the waistband, so it's not necessarily for concealed carry. I've carried this one concealed carry for work, and it works well, works fine, no issues with it. This one does have a level 2 retention. So when you go into looking at retention of holsters, generally the holster itself is considered the first level. So this one here is Kydex with what you would call a level 1 retention. So there's no buttons, there's nothing holding the gun in there. We'll get into that in a minute. This one has a locking mechanism in it that locks your gun into the holster. So that makes this one a level 1. So let me demonstrate that. Clear and safe for everyone out there. So whenever you put in your gun into a level 1 holster, it doesn't have, you pull it, it'll come straight out level 1. Level 2, you have a button of some kind. Some of the Blackhawk ones have a button right in here. You have to push with your finger, then you pull it out. I'm not a fan of those. Safariland has this button in the back right here. When you get your grip of your gun, my thumb normally goes there, and you just push it back and it comes straight out. So they're fast, easy to get to your gun, and they lock in there really, really well. You're not going to get it if someone grabs your gun and tries to pull it from you, it's not going to come out. This is more of a outside the waistband holster for work, like security guys, law enforcement, things like that. This is the level 2 retention. So moving on to that, this is another Safariland like that, but it has clips set up instead of a paddle. So this can clip onto a drop leg system or a battle belt or anything like that. This is level 3 holster. So it locks in, it still has that switch like a level 1. But what makes it a level 3 is you have this cover that covers it. So now you have 3 things retaining the gun. You have the holster itself, you have the main switch, and then you have another switch that covers that one. So whenever you go to grab this one, I usually push that out of the way and the gun comes straight out. With practice, it can become pretty quick. So it's a lot better than having the button down here and a hood and all these things that can be confusing. But these are more for work holsters, things like that. You're not really necessarily going to use this for a concealed carry or everyday carry type holster. So that goes into kind of that type of holster. So both of these are inside the waistband. This one's convertible though. So these you can switch out. So this is the mag holster that goes with it. Same thing. This is the outside the waistband loops. You can just unscrew them, switch this to inside the waistband, put the same thing on this, set it up however you want to do it. So level 1 retention is just the holster itself. Holds in there really good, but there's no buttons. There's no switches, none of that. Inside the waistband means that it goes inside of your pants, comes over here, and then your belt runs through here. So it works really good for concealed carry. These ones are really nice. And then we'll move on to this one here. This is a Blade Tech, pretty simple design. It is an inside the waistband design, and it's tuckable. So you can put your shirt over it, and you can put your shirt through here. So your shirt can kind of go over and blend in really good. So, and it doesn't have a switch. So it's a level 1. You can tighten these screws here on this side, and it clamps down on it, and it'll tighten it. It'll make it harder to draw or easier to draw, depending on what you want, what works for you. And these ones are fairly cheap. I think I paid like $30 for this holster. So Kydex, when I bought this one, it was about $100. And since then, prices have come down. Everyone's making Kydex. So you can pretty much find those anywhere for a decent price. The main thing with holsters is that you have something that is secure and safe. That's the important part. And then you can work on how it works for you, how you draw with your body. If you have injuries or whatever, you can kind of learn what works for you. Another thing that I have set up for concealed carry is a clip draw. So I don't recommend these on the bigger, heavier guns. It just doesn't work out that well. But on a small little gun, a backup gun, whatever, it's nice because you can just slide it in and clip this over. With any gun that's running a clip, though, I recommend you have something like this that is covering the trigger guard. So you can't put anything in the trigger. This is covering it. Generally, you can run your belt through these loops too. So when you do draw it, this will hang onto your belt and it'll pull it right off. And just so everybody knows, mag is loaded, nothing in the chamber. So, and this one does have a switch. Typically on these small guns like this, I really like running a clip draw. It's flexible, it's easy, you don't have to switch holsters out. If you're going to move this into a bag, if you're like at the gym or something like that, it's really easy to do so. So nice setup for small guns. Even purses and stuff like that, you have options with that setup. So these are kind of limited. These Kydex is really good. And the thing that I like about something that's hard and rigid is if you're doing one-handed things and you need to rack your gun for something, you can hook it on the side of your holster. It works better when it's mounted on you and you're not messing with the camera angle. But you can hook your rear side on it and you can run your slide backwards. You can clear a malfunction and all that stuff with one hand. So that's kind of an important thing. But then there's also leather holsters. Leather holsters can be unsafe. Actually, let me grab one and I'll show you. So if you're going to get a leather holster, get it from a really good leather worker that knows what they're doing. So this one here, this is a factory made leather sheath or leather holster from, this one's from Blackhawk. The leather is really thin on this, really, really thin. So these are going to wear out over time. Actually, you can check that thickness. I generally like an 8 or 9 ounce leather. You can put a liner in there, a steel liner and stuff like that. So yeah, this is about 2 millimeters. So that's pretty thin. These will get soft. And a lot of people, whenever they're holstering, the leather will bend and it'll work its way into where the trigger is. And you go to holster and you'll have a misfire. They're nice because it's quiet, in and out. You're drawing, if you're carrying like every day to work or something like that, and you're not going to be practice drawing or anything like that, you need something comfortable. These are real comfortable. So it's a lot more soft to where something hard like this can dig into you. This is going to be a little bit more comfortable. But get it from someone that makes leather, that will do a thick holster. Sometimes you can get a steel liner between, and you want them to be safe. And you want to always inspect your holsters if you have something leather. Always inspect it. Coat the leather with the beeswax and things like that. That's going to protect it from sweat, all that stuff. And you'd be fine with leather. I would use it for necessarily doing a lot of training or a lot of range work, because you're going to wear down that leather and it's going to get soft and it could bend in and hit that trigger, and that's not safe. So always inspect your holsters, even if they're plastic and stuff, before you put them on. Check them, make sure they're clean, all that stuff. But there's a few ideas on holsters. There's a ton of stuff out there. So the best thing to do is to kind of figure out what your goal is. If it's a work holster, if it's a concealed carry holster, things like that, and get one that works for you. so that you can start practicing with it and be safe with it. But that's kind of an intro to holsters. Hopefully there'll be more to come down the road. Thanks for watching.